morning. This hearing is called to order, and this is the public hearing of the City Council Committee on Public Health and Human Services. The purpose of this public hearing is to hear testimony on Bill number 150090. I recognize the presence of a quorum of the committee members, and there are Councilwoman Sanchez, Councilman Greenlee, Councilman Heenan, and Councilwoman Bass.
Nielsen again.
Nielsen,
Nielsen
I call him all the time. I'm sorry.
Don't call me late for lunch. I'm all right.
You know who I'm talking to.
I know. I answer you.
Don't put that on the record. Okay. We will let the clerk read the bill, a title of the bill.
Bill number 150090, an ordinance amending Chapter 10-600 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Regulation of Individual Conduct and Activity to modify certain exemptions from subsection 10602(3) entitled Smoking Prohibitions and from section 10614 entitled Electronic Smoking Devices, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments to make before we proceed with the testimony? Thank you. We will now ask the Health Commissioner and Dr. Malya come forward. Good morning. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Dr. James Buhl. I'm the Health Commissioner for the City of Philadelphia, and I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Malya, who directs our Get Healthy Philly program. Chairwoman Tasco and members of the Public Health and Human Services Committee, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to testify this morning on Bill number 150090. Philadelphia's Clean Indoor Worker Protection Law of 2007 prohibited smoking in the vast majority of bars, restaurants, and workplaces. It was a landmark achievement in public health. It protected workers and patrons from the toxic effects of secondhand smoke, which can increase their risk for and cause cancer, heart attacks, emphysema, and strokes in non-smokers. The law also changed people's expectations for what role smoking should play in our lives and our community. Lastly, the law gave smokers an additional incentive to quit. This is crucial because we know that 9 out of 10 smokers wish they'd never started to begin with. Because of the Clean Indoor Air Worker Protection Law and other efforts championed by the mayor and by council, such as our Quit Smoking media campaigns, tax increases, and restricting sales to minors, we've seen a 15% decline in adult smoking since 2008 and a 30% drop in youth smoking since 2007. That translates to 50,000 fewer smokers in Philadelphia. And it means that we've helped thousands to prevent becoming sick from smoking or even dying from tobacco-related diseases. When first enacted by council, the law allowed some businesses and private clubs to apply for waivers or exemptions during a very short initial time period. However, over the years, we have seen the waiver period reopened from time to time and several additional businesses granted exemptions. Councilwoman Tasco, just a few short weeks ago, when this committee considered several waivers, you assured the audience in this room that Pandora's box would not be opened and that new legislation would be forthcoming to end waivers going forward. And today we are very grateful to you and your colleagues for working so quickly to fulfill that promise. Thank you. Today I encourage the committee to vote in favor of this bill to protect further the health of our residents by removing the possibility for new exemptions for bars and private clubs. Everyone, no matter where they work, where they go to dinner, where they have a drink, deserves protections from the harms of smoking, particularly secondhand smoke. Moreover, by taking this step, Philadelphia will make itself more competitive for health-related conferences and conventions whose sponsoring organizations will only consider host cities with comprehensive smoke-free policies. Under the amended ordinance, businesses in Philadelphia that were previously exempted from the law will be grandfathered, meaning that they will still be able to allow smoking indoors. However, these entities that have exemptions already must continue to comply with the provisions of the original law that enabled their exemption. If they do not do so, their waiver could be lifted or revoked. The Department of Public Health will continue to monitor compliance with the regulations and the provisions of those original exemptions or existing exemptions. Lastly, I hope that we see even more businesses that have had exemptions give up smoking. At least 3 bars have done so in the last few years. Business owners recognize that non-smoking spaces attract new customers and cut down on worker illness. As we heard last fall when Mayor Nutter honored stores that voluntarily stopped selling tobacco products, many business owners have themselves suffered from diseases caused by smoking. They've had enough, and today I ask you to say enough. Thank you for your consideration of this bill and for helping to make Philadelphia a healthy, cleaner, safer, and more smoke-free city. Dr. Molly and I would be delighted to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Are there any questions? I don't think we have any questions. We're here because...
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. We have the next panel, Ms. Diane Phillips, Director of Government Relations, American Cancer Society.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. My name is Diane Phillips, and I'm the Director of Government Relations for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network, also known as ACS-CAN. ACS-CAN is the advocacy affiliate of the American Cancer Society, and our office is located on Locust Street here in Philadelphia. I'm here today to speak in support of Bill 150090, legislation that would amend Philadelphia's Clean Indoor Air Worker Protection Law. The bill will prevent the granting of waivers to local businesses to avoid compliance with Philadelphia's important smoke-free air protections. In 1993, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, released a landmark report documenting the link between secondhand smoke and cancer and other chronic diseases. Since that time, many states and communities have decided to go smoke-free, protecting the health and lives of their residents, and the city of Philadelphia has been a leader in that regard. The EPA has classified secondhand smoke as a Group A carcinogen, a substance which is known to cause cancer in humans. Secondhand smoke is a serious health hazard, containing more than 70 known or probable carcinogens and more than 7,000 substances, including formaldehyde, arsenic, cyanide, and carbon monoxide. Each year in the United States, secondhand smoke causes approximately 42,000 deaths among non-smokers, including up to 7,300 lung cancer deaths. Secondhand smoke can also cause or exacerbate a wide range of other adverse health issues, including respiratory infections and asthma. Multiple Surgeon General's reports have confirmed that the scientific evidence indicates there is no risk-free level of exposure to secondhand smoke. The most important reason to preserve smoke-free coverage of businesses in Philadelphia is the health of employees. Philadelphia workers deserve your protection. No one should have to choose between their job and good health. Typically, the employees most affected by secondhand smoke work in the hospitality industry. While restaurant and bar patrons can choose which establishments they spend their time, workers do not have the same choice. In addition, by allowing smoking in the workplace, business owners increase their cost of doing business. The economic value of lost wages, fringe benefits, and services associated with secondhand smoke exposure has been estimated to amount to $4.7 billion per year nationwide. Employers pay increased health, life, and fire insurance premiums, make higher workers' compensation payments, incur higher worker absenteeism, and settle for lower work productivity. Other costs include increased housekeeping and maintenance costs. For these reasons, ACS-CAN respectfully urges you to vote yes on Bill 150090 to strengthen the city's clean indoor air worker protection law. By doing so, you will be making an important contribution to employee health throughout the city. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for taking time out to come out to testify on this bill. Before we move forward, are there any questions of this witness? Let me recognize the presence of Councilman O'Brien. Thank you all very much. There are no questions.
Thank you.
Doesn't take much convincing today. Is there anyone else here to testify on this bill? Would you come forward, please? Good morning. Would you state your name for the record, please, and proceed with your testimony?
Jonathan Kirk. Good morning, Chairwoman Tasco and members of council. I'm here today representing the American Heart Association. The American Heart Association supports the legislation proposed and before this committee today, which seeks to close the door on clean indoor air worker protection laws, waivers, and exemptions. The members of this committee and City Council understand that secondhand smoke is dangerous to human health, and we have been before this committee recently regarding why the clean indoor air law is so important to Philadelphians. It's important to note that less than a quarter of Philadelphians are smokers, and the vast majority of Philadelphians don't smoke, and they would prefer not to be exposed to secondhand smoke. We agree that council ought never again grant another waiver or exemption from this important public health protection, and the original law clearly sought to create a finite process with a clear endpoint in mind, a completely comprehensive law. The sponsor's original intent did not anticipate that council would offer individual exemptions after the application period, and this bill is aimed at ending that unfortunate pattern which developed in the years after passage of the original law. The American Heart Association and others respectfully urge this committee to consider putting an end to additional waivers and exemptions in the city's clean indoor air worker protection law. The fairest law is a law that treats every business establishment and every worker in this city the same with regard to indoor smoking. We hope that Philadelphia City Council will one day simplify this clean indoor air worker protection law and make it apply everywhere. No waivers, no exemptions, no special treatment. Large health-focused organizations are considering local and state laws on smoking when determining where to hold large national and regional meetings. And this city's waivers may ultimately jeopardize the ability to attract large meetings sponsored by the American Heart Association and other major health and science organizations and associations. So we hope that we can work with the next administration and council to end all waivers and exemptions. But in conclusion, we thank Councilwoman Tasco for proposing the bill that is before you, and we ask the committee support it. And we further ask you to contemplate how Philadelphia workers can one day enjoy protection from secondhand smoke in every workplace in this city without exemption. Thank you very much for your accommodation and allowing us to address you this morning. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for
your
testimony. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here to testify? Okay, there being no further testimony, we will close our public hearing and go into our public meeting. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I offer an amendment to Bill Number 150090. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee. I move that the amendment to the bill be approved.
Would you explain the amendment, please? Councilman Greenlee will explain the amendment.
Madam Chair, just put on the record, the amendment basically makes it clear that the sites that were already granted just about 3 weeks ago are grandfathered in. But they're the only ones that are. After that, there will be no other exemptions given. Yeah, but apparently legally,
The law department
felt that there had to be a clarification in there. That's all.
Could the law department come and explain to us why we're doing this?
Bob Merkin.
Huh? It's in the packet.
It memorializes
Yeah.
in this amendment the actual addresses of the locations
Right.
that were previously approved.
Right. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's all.
Any other questions about the amendment? Okay, thank you.
That puts those four in there.
They put those four in and,
Right.
okay.
Got it.
Want to say something? Councilman Keenan. Oh.
It's Nielsen.
We have a quorum. You got to ask the question on the record. Where's the HATCO guys?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, we seconded the amendment.
All right. It has been moved and seconded, that properly seconded, that the amendments to bill number 150090 be approved. All those in favor of the
Aye.
motion will signify yes during opposition. Thank you. And there is no being no opposition, the motion is carried. Okay, now we just go on to
Recognize it for the passage of the
our chair calls on Councilwoman Keonis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that Bill 150090, as amended, be moved out of this committee with a favorable recommendation, and I further move that the Rules Council be suspended to allow first reading at our next public session.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that bill number 150090, as amended, be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation. And further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of these bills at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. If there are any opposition, there being none, the motion is carried. This concludes the hearing, and thank you all very much.